Thanks for tuning into the channel. And today we're going to be talking about fees that you should avoid paying or negotiating when you're buying a car. These fees that we're going to go over are very common, and you're most likely going to run into them if you are, going to different car dealerships because you're car shopping. So I want to get you familiar with them, and you may already be familiar with them if you already started the car shopping process. And some of you are not familiar with them because you've only been looking maybe online and haven't gone to a car dealership yet. So hopefully this video, you find it helpful, educate you, and get you a better deal on the car. And if it does, let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget, smash the like button, and please consider subscribing to the channel. I really would appreciate it. Now let's get into it. What are some of these fees that I'm talking about? Some of the fees we're going to go over is going to be just on used cars, and some of these fees will be on both, and some are on new, right? So let's get into it. Reconditioning fee. I like to talk about this one because this one is very popular, very likely that you're going to run into it, but it is only on used cars. So let's get into it. What is the reconditioning fee? The reconditioning fee is what a dealership's going to tell you. Is going to be when they got that car in. They took it. If you're car shopping at one of these big franchise car dealerships, they have a service department. So they're going to say, we got the car, either at auction or trade-in. We took it to our service department. And the reconditioning fee is for what got done in the service department and detailing and getting it ready to be able to put it on the lot to sell. That's the reconditioning fee. That not all dealerships do that, and to me, that's insane, right? There shouldn't be a separate line item saying reconditioning fee. A lot of car dealerships started doing this because what they were basically doing to people, which I don't think was ethical, is if you're like me, I use AutoTrader when I'm looking for cars, right? And I'm not sponsored by them. I don't get anything from AutoTrader. There's other websites like AutoTrader that do the same thing. Cars.com, Car Guru. I just use AutoTrader. And what car dealers were doing, they were advertising the car at a lower price, right? They would want to advertise on these websites. So when you're at home or wherever you happen to be and you're looking for cars, they were pricing them lower than the competition. But then in the small fine print that most people don't read, they would put reconditioning fee or a package fee. And so a lot of people don't read that. They see the car that they like, they get excited about the price, and they drive to the dealership, which is very important. Why, when you're looking online, when you see a really, really good price, a better price than the rest of the car, read the small print. Okay. If you don't want to read the small print, then call the dealership and ask them, hey, do you do a reconditioning fee? Do you have some type of protection package on the car? Check the Carfax. Because sometimes it's not that it's a reconditioning fee. It's not a protection package. It's just that the car's been in an accident or was a rental car. And these are things that also bring down the price. But if it's a clean Carfax and things like that, it's common that they're charging reconditioning fee. And maybe it's just a great deal. Maybe they're not charging any of this, but be on the lookout if you're shopping online. But a lot of times that's what they're doing. And a lot of people go to the car dealership because they saw that price and then they get hit with this reconditioning fee. And then the dealership will explain to them that, hey, it went to service, we had to get it detailed, all these little things. But it depends on the car. If you're looking at a used car, let's say a fairly new, okay. And what's fairly new to me is a year, 2, 3 years old. So any car between 1 and 3 years is fairly new to me with low mileage. What reconditioning fee? That's just all profit, right? If there's a car that you're looking at, it's 2 years old with 12,000 miles on it, they didn't do anything to that car besides a simple oil change and tire rotation, and that should be already in their asking price. If you're advertising it cheaper to get me in the door, and then you're charging me a reconditioning fee of $1,500, $2,000, because the thing is, all dealerships, the reconditioning fee is a different price at different dealerships. It's not like a set price for all dealerships because not all dealerships do it, and all dealerships come up with their own reconditioning fee price. But again, if you're looking at a fairly new car, and a lot of these big franchise dealerships, that's what they sell. It's used cars that are fairly new with low mileage. Most of their inventory in the pre-owned market's fairly new cars with low mileage. So that to me is something that I would avoid paying. And it's a common thing to run into. Now, there's other fees to be on the lookout for. Now, this is common on new and used. Again, not all dealerships do it, but it is common that you run into it. Nitrogen, okay? Nitrogen on the tires. They usually will put a line item that they put nitrogen on tires, and they charge you like $300 or $400 for this. Sometimes a little bit less, a little bit more, but just a ballpark. And they're charging you a few $100. Now, you may argue and say, hey, I don't want nitrogen in my tires. I don't want to pay, this additional fee. And what they're going to say to you, the salesperson, is, we did this on all our cars. So it's no option. Then I feel, and I hate this feeling, well, I'm at a car dealership, right? A sales place. And I get it. You want to maximize your profit. It's a business. That's what businesses do. But as a consumer, I got to protect myself. And I don't feel that that's ethical because you're not selling anymore. You're saying, hey, we put this on all cars. You have to pay for it. No, I'm here to buy a car. I didn't ask for nitrogen. That's an extra. The car doesn't need this. You can talk to me about nitrogen. You can tell me the benefits about nitrogen, and then you can tell me the price associated with. And if you sold me on the service or on the add-on, then the customer may pay for it. And the customers that see the value should be the ones paying for those add-ons. But if I don't see the benefit, or if you didn't do a good job selling the benefits to make me believe in them, then I shouldn't be paying for it. And to me, these are add-ons that the dealership does that are usually marked up way too much, right? Because the dealership will get it done at a low cost, but they'll mark it up 3 times what they paid for. And that's just an example, but they mark it up a lot. I don't know if they mark it up 3 times. They may mark it up more, but they mark it a lot. Because a lot of these things you can go ahead and do on yourself. So the nitrogen, also the paint protection. They say, oh, we put something on the paint to protect the paint. That's very common, and they charge a lot of money for that. Pinstripes, window tints. The window tints very popular. A lot of dealerships are doing it. And it's a lot of times it's about $400, and sometimes they just tinted the 2 front windows because the back windows from factory, they come dark. Not in all vehicles, but a lot of vehicles. So let's just put the cheapest film on the front and then mark it up about $400 when you could just go get it done. The 2 front windows. I live here in Florida. I don't know where you live, but I can get it done for $85. So why would I pay $400 when I can get it done for $85 and I get to pick the percentage on the window, right? I get it how dark I want it. So these are things that I wouldn't pay for. And when they tell me, like, look, it's already on the car, guess what? I buy cars, I bought in cars. I seen dealerships remove these fees and even keep they'll keep the window, because it would cost them more money to get it taken off, right? If let's say the car has the windows tinted and you don't like the percentage, you want them darker. Now, when you go to the tint shop, you have to pay to get it removed. Well, same thing a dealership would have to do. So since they went ahead and did that, I wouldn't pay for it. I didn't ask for it. Now, some of you say, oh, you're just trying to get free window tint. No, I'm not. Because if I don't like the window tint that they put on the car and I bought the car, but they took it off, right? But I now go to a tint shop to get them darker, I have to pay to get that film taken off. So at the end of the day, if I don't really want the window tint and I get it taken off, I have to pay for that. And I know what a lot of you are going to say, who doesn't want window tint? There are people that don't want it. There are people that want it darker than what the dealership put on there. And then there are people that do want it. And if you want it, you can negotiate because these things are marked up. If it's taxable, you can negotiate it. And a lot of people, they're just too shy to negotiate a lot of times. And I don't get why. Because this is a thing. And I know not everyone's going to fall in this category. But a lot of people have asked me, because I have other videos where I say, hey, I got out of a car before I paid it off and I was not upside down. They asked me, how is that possible? Well, to have a possibility of being able to walk away from a car without being upside down, it's all going to depend on the deal that you did the day you bought it. Now, I know some people pay cash, but if you're financing and you're going to trade it in later and you don't want to be upside down, right? You don't want to have negative equity. A possibility of accomplishing that is the deal that you do. If you're doing a bad deal the day you buy the car, you're going to most likely be upside down. Now you could do a good deal and you could still end up upside down. You know, if you end up getting in an accident and getting a bad Carfax, you drive a lot, so you rack up the car with miles. But it's all going to start with the deal that you do. The deal that you do is going to determine if you're going to be upside down or how much you're going to be upside down. So a lot of these things that are not needed, if you're financing this onto the loan and you're paying interest on it. So you got to really think, is this something that I need? And if it is something that you do want and you're willing to pay for it, then at least negotiate it, because it's going to be marked up hefty. And I want to throw this out to you because if you are car shopping, it's very likely if you're looking for use, you're going to run into the reconditioning fee, destination fee, nitrogen, paint protection, pinstripes, window tints, dealer add-ons. They're out there, they're common. And these really came around when COVID happened. When we had COVID, we had a shortage of supply, right? And there was still a high demand. So car dealerships, they didn't have as much inventory, but they still had a high demand. So they're selling cars with no problem, and they just couldn't keep enough cars on the lot. So now you have more people wanting, a larger demand for the supply, and you don't have enough supply. So prices went up. So they just started doing market adjustments, and they weren't giving you anything. They would just tell you it's due to the economy right now, and we don't have enough inventory. So that's the reason we're marking up the cars. Well, inventory started to get better, and now we don't have an issue with inventory. So now instead of just calling it a market adjustment, they started giving it names. And I'm going to put here on the screen. So I'm going to give you a breakdown that I got from an actual dealership. And I'm actually going to look at it here on my phone, but this was me at a dealership looking at a lease on Sentra, and this breakdown is common. Now I'm in Florida. Maybe if you're outside Florida, their breakdown's different, but this should help you if you're at a dealership, because it's likely that you run into this. Now, again, not all dealerships do this, but this could help you. So the car in this example that I was looking at, the MSRP is $22,955. You can see they're doing a discount, $2,600, rebate, all that. And you see selling price. But then right under selling price, you see something called the Florida package. Now, not every dealership's going to call it the Florida package. They come up with different names. They could call it the protection plan, the protection package, whatever they come up with. And at this particular dealership, this is what they were doing. They were doing the tint, the door edge guards, wheel locks, first oil and filter change. Now, next to it, you see 0.00, but that's just all included in the Florida package. So basically everything that they were giving you in the car, I say you can go get these things done yourself for under $500, right? You can get window tint on a Sentra for about $150. You can get wheel locks at it online and just do it yourself. The little door edge guards, it's just this little clear film. And to be honest, if you're familiar with what I'm talking about, these little clear film that they put between the door handles and on the doors, if you keep that car long term, those things end up getting really ugly. So you're better off, in my opinion, not even getting them. I really don't see the use for them. I don't see the benefit of it, because a lot of people, they don't put it on right. So then dirt and things get in there, and it gets really ugly. And then the first oil, $1,400. That's marked up hefty. So I would want it completely taken off. If I saw some value in some of the package, then I definitely would negotiate. I'm putting this on the screen, and I'm letting you know the names are going to be different, and the format that you're seeing here may be the format that you see, because this is a common format at dealerships, but the names might be different. But you may run into these add-ons. I want you to be aware of them, because if you are in the beginning stages of your car buying process, you might not even step foot at the dealership yet, right? You might have just been looking online, so you wouldn't see something like this. But once you start going to car dealerships, you're likely going to see something just like this or similar. And if they're doing, add-ons, they're going to have some name for it. Just know, again, don't be shy to negotiate them. A lot of people, they're like, oh, well, I'm shy. I don't like negotiating, and I don't want to be at the car dealership long. For most people, this is our second biggest purchase we do in our lifetime. if you're doing such a big purchase, what's your rush? If you're going to a car dealership, don't go on a day that you're busy. Don't go on a day that you have a bunch of errands to do. Pick a day that you have nothing to do and say, this day I'm going to spend at car shop. And that very first day that you go to the car dealership to go look at that car that you want, I recommend that you don't even buy that day. Just go see the car, test drive it, and do the numbers and see that deal. Then what I recommend you do is go to another car dealership and look at the same car with the same MSRP and see what that dealership can do for you. Because the thing is, I'm going to use Toyota as an example. If I want a Toyota, not all the Toyota dealerships have the same fees, and they're not all willing to do the same deal. Meaning, there may be another Toyota dealership that has less fees and is willing to do a better deal. I won't know that if I don't shop around. So don't be afraid to shop around, and that's going to be your peace of mind to say, hey, I got a good deal. Because you're going to know, just, hey, I went to more than one Toyota dealership. I shopped around, and this is a good deal that I'm getting, or this is not a good deal, and I found a good deal at the other dealership. So don't be afraid to shop around. Don't be afraid to negotiate these things. Now, if you are going to a dealership that's a know-how, go upfront pricing, there you can't negotiate. It is what it is. So a lot of the things that I'm saying when it comes to negotiating wouldn't apply to a dealership like that. So the reason I say that is if you're going to a dealership like that, yeah, those dealerships are upfront pricing. Usually they don't do all these fees. These fees tend to be more in negotiating car dealerships. So you may say, so then isn't it better just to go to a non-negotiating dealership? Not always. Sometimes you can get a good deal in one of those dealerships, but how would you know that? By going to multiple dealerships. So don't rush the process. Take your time, and this is going to keep more money in your pocket and get you a better deal, in my opinion, and at least this is what I do, right? And I'm just letting you know what I do in my opinion in hopes that it will help you. At the end of the day, you have to determine how you want to go about it, but you can feel free to ask me questions in the comments. I will reply and answer and see if I can help. So don't be shy to ask any questions. Now, you may also be wondering, should I go new or used? I do have videos about this, but I figure I throw this in. Some of you may not know this, but I think this is pretty obvious. Prices are really high these days, right? But what you may not be aware is the economy is slowing down. It's been slowing down if you've been looking at the reports. I know some of us are not into this, but unemployment has been going up, right? And growth has actually been going down. And we actually are talking about rate cuts, right? Interest rates are high. And the reason they, got high was to slow down the economy because inflation was so high. So they did that to try to, get inflation to go down. And it's been actually happening if you look at the reports. I'm not making this up. You can go on the internet and look it up for yourself. July 31st, they're going to have a meeting and Feds may cut rates. Now, a lot of people are saying that rates won't be cut July 31st. That most likely we'll get our first rate cut in September. And the reason I'm throwing this out there, because you might be thinking, should I go new? Should I go used? Right now, I'm going to say new. I think if you're looking for a fairly new car, so if you're looking for a used car that's 2 or 3 years old, I would definitely go look at new. And the reason I'm saying that is inventory is increasing, inventory is sitting on the lots longer, and prices are going down because dealerships are having a hard time selling cars. And because of this, that's why the incentives on brand new cars have been getting more attractive. And what they also have been doing is offering really low interest rates on brand new cars. So if you finance with example Ford, if you finance with Ford Motor Company, they got some great promotions right now on financing, and they're still discounting the car. And I just use Ford as an example. Toyota's doing it, Mazda, a lot of these car companies are doing really good promotions on financing if you're financing on brand new cars, right? So this will really apply if you're financing and if you have good credit, because this is going to be based on improved credit. So if you have good credit, I will look at new because you're going to get the full warranty. You got the discounts and the low interest. So even if the used car is a little bit less, but not too much less, and the new car is a little bit more, but you're getting a lot lower interest rate, that could end up resulting in a lower payment, even though the purchase price is a little bit more because the interest rate's a lot lower. That's why if you're looking at something fairly new, like 2 or 3 years old, you might want to compare it to a new one to see, if what the difference is, because it might make sense to go new. Now, used cars, yes, they have been dropping in price, and that's great if you're paying cash. But if you're financing, the interest rate is still high on the used cars. The best I've seen is around the low sixes, and a lot of car dealerships don't even want to do that. They want to give you higher, 7 and 8s, and even higher. So for used cars, if you're financing, the interest rate isn't great. But the reason I was talking about the rate cuts, right, in the Feds, if Feds do start to cut rates in September, and they're saying there could be more rate cuts to come after that, if we start to get, a few rate cuts, then in 2025, rates might start being in at 4 and 5s and more in a better area. And then it could start making sense if you're financing to get the used car. But that's really going to determine on interest rates. Right now, interest rates are still high, but if we start getting these rate cuts, they could start going down. And if they start going down, then that's when it might be best to go used. It all determines on the market. A lot of videos automatically just tell you go used. Used isn't always the smartest route. And now in your mind, it may make sense. Oh, used, right? Because we think automatically because it's used, you're going to save. That makes sense to us. But, that's not really always the case. And I know that a lot of people don't get that. I actually worked in the car business, not anytime recent. It was years ago. Probably like over 10 years ago, I worked at a Toyota car dealership, and I saw people leaving a brand new car for a better deal. And the reason they didn't even know it. The dealership, the salesperson would, not even the salesperson, because the salespeople really are middle people. It's a sales manager that sometimes you see if the salesperson can't close the deal, they'll come out. But sometimes they don't come out. The salesperson can close the deal, but they're really the ones coming out with the numbers. But sometimes they'll come out and say, hey, look, you want to be here. What about a new one? And they would do that sometimes when the car was, let's say you're looking at a car that was 2 years old, really low miles. Sometimes the price difference wasn't that much. MSRP wise, it may look like it was a big difference, but then the incentives that the car had would bring it down to where it would be the same price as used or a little bit more. And then if they had it in on new cars, they could do a better interest rate. And that's always been that way. On new cars, they can always do a better interest rate than used cars. But again, right now, interest rates are high. So if I can get a brand new car at a really low interest rate, if you have good credit, and the new car, you're going to get a high interest rate, that interest rate's really going to, it does a big impact on payments. And that's why I'm throwing that out there. I don't know exactly your situation, but if your situation, hey, I'm looking at a car that's 2 years old with like 15,000 miles, it doesn't hurt to look at that new car to see, hey, could I get that brand new car with, that no one owned with the full warranty? And if the new car is going to come out to the same price or less, I say go new. So again, hopefully this video will make you do your homework, make you go to more than one car dealership, take your time, negotiate some of these fees that you shouldn't be paying for or negotiating them down. I hope this helped you. Please don't forget to subscribe, smash the like button, leave some comments down below, and I'll see you on the next one.